Grey's Anatomy, Season 2, Episode 16.
Watching this episode made us think about what it means to be a nurse and how important ethics are in healthcare. In a real situation like this, nurses will need to stay calm, follow emergency procedures, and work closely with the healthcare team. At the same time, nurses must also think about their own safety and safety of other patients. This episode shows that nursing is not only about medical skills, it also involves difficult ethical decisions and understanding how to balance compassion, responsibility, and safety.
Our roles as healthcare professionals include promoting optimal health and well-being, providing physically, psychologically, and culturally safe care, providing and advocating for client dignity, autonomy, and self-determination, maintaining our own well-being, and contributing to a healthy practice environment. So yeah, Chloe, did you identify any ethical principles while we watched this episode?
Yes, perfect. I'll give you an example of beneficence that I found.
Sure.
I have two, actually. I have Meredith demonstrating this when she keeps her hand inside the patient's chest to stabilize the explosive, even though it puts her life at risk, and to stop the patient from bleeding out, as well as Dr. Shepard in his OR saying anyone who wants to leave, leave. But he says to the bomb squad guy that he's not leaving because his patient is open and he needs help.
For autonomy, I found kind of ethical dilemma of Dr. Bailey not being informed on her husband's condition, of him being in Derek Shepard's OR, and they're not telling her that.
Especially while she's in active labor.
Yeah. For justice, I found the anesthesiologist leaving the brand new paramedic to pump the ambu bag all alone, abandoning his post and his patient. Yeah, if justice refers to fairness, it's not fair that the anesthesiologist left a brand new paramedic who's untrained alone. It's not fair to the patient as well, because that is his specialty. That's what he's providing to the patient, and every patient has a right to proper care and not being abandoned.
For non-maleficence, I found because the healthcare team tries to prevent harm to the patient and themselves by evacuating parts of the hospital and calling a bomb specialist. The whole time they are focused on saving him, even though he is a safety risk of everyone else. And the main doctor saying you only stay if you volunteer to stay.
Analyzing these ethical dilemmas from the show that we found, can you break any down?
There was a conflict between ethical dilemmas with professional duty and personal safety. Healthcare workers have a responsibility to care for patients, but they also have a responsibility to protect themselves and others. Some staff members stayed to help while others evacuate the hospital. This shows how different people may respond differently based on personal and professional values. It can also be influenced by culturally or spiritually values on how or why they would react to the situation the way they would.
So the biggest conflict is between beneficence and non-maleficence. With Meredith trying to help the patient, she's also putting herself at serious risk, which goes against avoiding harm for herself. Socially, they're all friends, so when Dr. Shepard's asked to evacuate his OR with Dr. Bailey's husband laying on his table, he's obviously put in an ethical dilemma and has to make a decision. Because they're all friends, it comes down to more than just a patient for him, I think, because not only is there a man open on his table that he's trying to save, but it's also one of his closest friends, coworkers' husband. So a lot of social factors could influence his decision there, as well as just his own values and the oath that he took to do no harm as a doctor.
Another would be them not telling Bailey, because they are all friends, that her husband is in the OR, and saying that they are in code black and not telling her, both because she is a patient, but also because she is friends with all of them, so they know that if they tell her, she's going to be like, oh, well, I'm leaving, or she's going to react a certain way that they don't want her to react.
Right. Which in fact happened anyways when she found out.
Yes.
So yeah, the main ethical dilemma being save one man, being the man with a bomb in his chest, save everyone else by isolating that man and evacuating everyone else to safety, versus saving everyone. So everyone in the hospital as well as the man with the bomb in his chest, which is obviously the route that they're trying to take. Most ethically correct. Every patient has a right. So, let's evaluate some of the decision making from our colleagues on Grey's Anatomy. So assess the actions of the characters involved and the outcomes of their choices. So starting maybe with the Bailey situation, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was a patient-on-patient confidentiality with the scenarios, but is it really? Because she's, like, her husband is in the OR right now getting operated on while she's in active labor. She's 9 centimeters dilated.
Right.
But at the same time, she works in the hospital. So is it okay for them to say, like, where her husband is? Say all this? Because she's, like, giving birth because her husband's not there to watch.
Yeah, and she's freaking out because they're lying to her. They're not telling her. Yeah, so is it ethically okay to lie to her?
But right now, she's not a part of the healthcare team. She is a patient.
Right. It's a right versus right situation, I feel like, because you're trying to benefit her and the baby, but because you know the news isn't going to go well for her, but you're also trying to respect confidentiality of the other patient. Like, if you remove the factors that create, like, the social, ethical mess of the scenario, if it was just him that got in a car accident and she was the point of contact, like, they would be contacting her to be like, come to the hospital. Because we're assuming that he is the point of contact because they didn't say that that's why they weren't telling her.
But at the same time, if she were to have known while she's in active labor, what is she expecting, like, to go into the OR with them? Because she's not a part of the healthcare team, which goes into policy on paper versus HIPAA. Does HIPAA overrule anything because it has the best interest of both patients? But is it the best interest because he is saying his wife is in labor and she's calling him? So she's telling the healthcare team to tell her, but they don't know who she is. But then they find out who she is, but it's already too late because they're in code black.
And the factor that he's in the OR next to the bomb.
Yes.
And then
she doesn't know it's there.
See, and she finds out anyways because they tell her.
Eventually.
Yeah. And then she has the reaction of, like, I'm heading home. Short term, Bailey's having a baby. Long term, her husband could die. So looking at the right versus right scenario.
In the best interest of keeping everyone safe, they called the bomb squad because they are not trained to deal with the situation. Mm-hmm. Meredith putting her hand on the bomb to save everyone, even though it is a bomb. Whereas the paramedic didn't know it was a bomb. That's why she put her hand there, to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. In the benefit of the life-saving aspect.
Actions of removing most people out of the hospital to save the most people in the hospital as well.
And the chief going, you only stay if you volunteer to stay. Giving people the choice for themselves to keep themselves out of harm's way or keep helping patients that need them.
The wrong would be letting him bleed out. The right versus right situation, I feel, doesn't apply to this scenario. What are your thoughts on that?
With the bomb in the patient's chest?
Yes.
I agree. It's more of a right versus wrong. Right being save everyone, wrong being save everyone by him. Because he's the safety issue, putting everyone else at risk. So, like, you could save one, save everyone else, or save them all. Yes, the decision making for Derek, though, too. Staying in the OR, but asking those who want to leave that they can leave because he doesn't want to abandon his own patient. Do you think that was an ethical decision that he made?
Yes, I do. I think he was putting his patient above himself, though, which isn't good, but whatever he thought was right.
But that could also be the social factors that we were talking about. I guess in real life, that's why you don't work on family, you don't work on friends. There's a conflict of interest at play.
Yes.
Because then ethical decisions become harder to make. Determine what alternative actions could have resulted in a different resolution. With this whole bomb in his chest and then he ends up in the OR and then everyone's in danger and because the oxygen tanks and stuff in the OR, it makes it harder to detonate and all of these factors playing in. Gathering more information when the patient first arrived. If he was stable enough to be triaged in the ER, they should have tried their best to get more information from the wife and the friend. Even the paramedics, when they found the guy, like, someone should have had information in that scenario to be like, hey, it was a gun. Or bazooka, whatever it was. And it shouldn't have taken till Alex Karev, like, deducted that information from a conversation that the wife and the guy's best friend was having. You should have gathered that information before heading to the OR. There's information.
I think the hospital could have evacuated more people immediately to reduce the risk of harm. This would support the principle of non-maleficence by protecting as many people as possible. There could have been stricter rules about how many healthcare workers stayed near the patient, and limiting numbers around the patient, putting less people in harm while the patient still receives the care that they needed. Lastly, the hospital should have developed clear emergency protocols for dangerous situations like explosives or hazardous materials, especially in the OR with all the equipment and oxygen that is inflammatory.
And for everyone to know, and not just the chief,
Yes.
because he seemed to know ish how to handle it, but like no one else really did. They were just making their own decisions, whereas a policy, like a code of ethics and safety protocols, could make decision making in that scenario much more airtight and easier. Okay, so applying ethical frameworks, use ethical decision making models and frameworks taught in the course to evaluate and resolve these dilemmas. I would justify Dr. Shepard's actions more so because he has his own patient to think about and his own safety, and he gives the people around him the same opportunity as everyone else in the hospital to remove themselves. Even with the social influence that might affect his decision being who his patient is, I think he probably would have made the same decision even if it was someone he didn't know. Like, he's worried about his patient's outcome and his well-being. And he does put his own well-being second, but that, I think, is where the ethical dilemma comes in of, like, sacrifice myself, sacrifice you. If he walks away, he knows his patient would have died, whereas, like, he's taking the chance with his own.
I feel like it's the opposite for the new paramedic who stuck her hand inside of the patient's cavity. I feel like she didn't really understand what she was doing. Yeah. She put her hand in there, and then when she was in the OR, it was like, oh, what's all this happening around me? Like, I'm staying here, you have to leave, haha. Her partner.
The lack of questions asked,
and then her freaking out and just pulling her hand out and then running out of the OR immediately, not caring about the other, like, 5 people around her.
Yeah, not very level-headed.
Yeah, she could have blown herself up, she could have blown the other people around her up, the patient. And she's a new grad, too, which makes it even worse.
But then it also comes back to the unethical actions of the anesthesiologist abandoning his patient and his duty to everyone's safety in that moment. He didn't ensure the proper transfer of care of his patient. He just gave the ambu bag to her and was like, here, even beats. All the code black. Like, the second Dr. Burke hears from Dr. Karev that there is potentially a bomb in that man's chest because there's no through and through, he's like, call code black, call the bomb squad, like, lock this place down. Everyone who's not essential is leaving. Like, immediately took action to benefit the safety of others, and calling the bomb squad to ensure the safety of himself because he knows he has to stay, and keeping the essential personnel to keep the patient safe as well, like the anesthesiologist, and not removing the paramedic's hand because he knows that it's going to put the patient at risk, even if it's dangerous for other people. Consider how the insights from the movie review can be applied to real-world scenarios in healthcare. I guess we kind of touched on that. Is there anything else we could say on that?
Again, just like they should have developed, like Horizon, our hospital, should have clear emergency protocols for dangerous situations like this.
And the conflict of interest with, like, social aspects playing a role in the ethical decision making, where Grey's Anatomy, it's for the drama and stuff that they're all friends, like, it adds to it, but, like, removing those will make a situation safer for everyone involved because you're not battling with, like, she's my bestie.
Easier to make the decision.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you because I don't want to tell you that your husband's out here.
Right. Versus just like this will do more harm than good, and not like, oh, she'll be mad.
Yeah.
Because she's my friend. Triaging your patients and asking them questions and finding out the full information before you get to a point of no return, so that there isn't a man with a bomb in his chest in the OR with a whole team surrounding him, where they're about to remove it and put everyone's lives at risk, where a simple few questions and like keeping him stable. Maybe that happened in like 10 minutes. We don't know because they kept cutting scenes. But like if it was going to be 10 minutes and your patient is stable enough to wait, find out the full picture before, and then you realize you are putting everyone at risk.
Yep. And cut.
I guess.
The end.
Thanks for joining us today.